The Fredericksburg police are still watching you. Let's talk about that. Hi, I'm Andrew Flushy, and I'm your Virginia traffic attorney. About a year ago, I notified you that the Fredericksburg police here in Virginia were going to be using body cameras. Basically, instead of their dash cams, they were going to be wearing cameras to document what they do when they're interacting with citizens. So it's been about a year. Let's review kind of how things have gone in that time. First of all, it's actually easier for defense counsel to be able to get access to the body videos. Basically, it's a little online system that the Commonwealth attorneys have access to, where they can authorize access to your attorney to watch the video. It's not like YouTube where anybody can go on and watch it, so don't worry about that. It is secure, and I think that's good, so all the videos are not just available for the public for people to kind of ridicule people who may have had interaction with the police, because we know that's what would happen, unfortunately. But your defense lawyer can get access to it, and I've been able to watch videos in more cases than I previously would have been able to in Fredericksburg. So if your defense lawyer is not watching your video for your case, you definitely need to ask why. And I've always said, and whenever there's video, if there's any kind of issue that it could help us with, I always try to watch it when at all possible, because it just only makes sense. If we have video, your defense lawyer needs to be watching it if there's any possible issues. Secondly, the video has proven useful in a certain sets of cases for possession of marijuana. It's a little unexpected, but basically the video documents anything the officer's seeing. We'll talk about that in a minute, but essentially, it's kind of on. It should be on most of the time when you're interacting with a citizen, and when they're doing the marijuana field test, that should be on video. Before, a lot of times that wouldn't have been recorded even if there was a dash cam, because they may not be doing it directly in front of the vehicle. A lot of times they'll do it on the side or at the rear of the vehicle, or even sometimes at the station or whatever. And so I know of at least one case where the video was able to prove that an officer did the field test incorrectly. He didn't follow the directions. He kind of short-circuited the process, just sped it up a little too fast, not according to the directions, and that was able to be used to keep the field test results out of evidence. Now, as far as I understand, there were other issues in that case as well, but that defendant was found not guilty because the police didn't follow the proper procedure, essentially. Now, that's not saying they never do, but in that particular instance, the body camera was able to show that there was an issue with procedure, and so the defendant was found not guilty, which they should have been in that case. So that's great that we have another tool to keep the police accountable and make sure that procedure is being followed, especially when we're talking about testing something like marijuana using these sophisticated chemicals. And you can see my other videos on how that test works. It's actually pretty complicated, so you need to make sure you follow the directions properly. One of the problems with the video cameras, though, on the body is that they have a limited field of view. So instead of seeing everything that the human eye would see, or even a pretty wide angle from the dash cam because everybody's kind of in front of it, the body camera is on the officer. And so it's almost like you're looking through blinders. As you're looking, you kind of have this little box of what you can see, and it's a really good clarity. You can see very, very clearly the things you can see, but you may not be able to see down below or to the side. And if the officer's body or his head is not oriented exactly where you want to be watching, you may not be able to see what you're looking for. So one problem is with the field sobriety test for DUI, one of the classic tests is the 9-step walk and turn, where you walk the line. And for that one of the things you need to look at is the defendant's feet. And it's hard to see the feet a lot of times in the body camera. If the officer's kind of close and he's kind of just watching, kind of looking with his head straight out, his camera's mounted sometimes on his cap or on his lapel, and you just can't see down below, like to the feet, to see if the defendant is properly walking the line. So that's a problem. I think the only way to fix that is maybe with better cameras eventually, where we have a wider angle lens where you can see more. Or it could be that maybe we need to have body cameras and dash cameras. So that way we kind of catch more and have two angles. Maybe you'll be able to see things that you can't see on one, and you'll be able to see it on the other. That kind of leads to the next problem, though, is sometimes the body cameras get turned on and off. One DUI that I represented a client on, inexplicably, they're in the parking lot discussing the case, and it's an ongoing investigation. Another officer comes up, and the body camera goes off. And then there's another clip of body camera, and it's clearly at least a couple minutes later, the video camera just starts back again. I'm not saying anything bad happened in that time period, but it does make you question what happened and why the camera went off and why it didn't pick back up immediately. There are kind of clips, so sometimes you'll see it's kind of a segment, like they just kind of stop recording and then start again. But when there's a time period that goes by with no video footage, it makes you wonder what was said, what was done, and why the camera went off. So if the police want to have more trust and more accountability, I think that begins with transparency. I think we need to have the body cameras on anytime there's an active investigation going. We need to have them running and with no interruption, or at least very, very minimal interruption. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on the cameras, especially should they be running all the time? Should they be running the entire time a police officer is interacting with citizens? Do you think they're a good idea at all? Do you think we should have no cameras? As a defense attorney, I like having the camera because it has a neutral view of what actually did happen. But I'm curious as a citizen, what you think. So we have a Facebook page set up where you can post your comments. And we want you to go over there if you wouldn't mind and just post your comments, what you think about body cameras. And have you had any interaction with the police using them? Did it freak you out to see the camera? Let us know what you think, and I'd love to hear your feedback about the body cameras, or feel free to just reply to this email or this email that we're sending out. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a great week.